Welcome back to my channel. Greetings everyone. This is Q, man. Hope you guys are doing fine on this fine Friday afternoon. I am in Santo, Domingo. And guys, I'm on this little, what do you call this?
Huh?
What do you call this?
Little train.
Little tour ride. I'm on a tour ride, guys. So I want to say hello to a couple of my partners. Would y'all mind?
Not at all.
Henry, what's up, Henry? Say hello to the people.
How you doing, everybody?
Gio, where y'all from, man?
From Jersey.
Jersey in the house. What brings you here?
Woman and booze and fun.
G?
I'm from Miami. I'm just vacationing. I love to travel every year. You know, it's a beautiful place. Definitely a memorable experience with friends, and a lot going on out here for sure.
Estamos grabando, por favor.
Outstanding. Well, guys, I don't know how long this ride is going to be. I think it's going to be for about an hour. Oh, look like. So it looks like I lost the connection. Yes, guys, it looks like I've lost the connection to my phone, but we are back. I don't know why we lost the connection. So guys, I'm going to wait for this bus ride to take off, and then I'm going to show you some sights of the city, guys. So just stand by, okay? I'll let you. Okay, guys, the tour is about to start. Here we go.
We promise you a panoramic and entertaining tour. And welcome to Santo Domingo, the first city established by Europeans in the Americas, founded by Bartolome Colon, the brother of the great Admiral Christopher Columbus, in August of 1496, and he settled it on the east bank of the Osama River. The park on the left was the military plaza. Here we see the Metropolitan Cathedral, and in the center, the monument to the discoverer, Christopher Columbus, which is the work of the French sculptor Ernest Gilbert. The Indian who's at the foot of the grouping is not the Cacique Anaconda, but a generic representation of the indigenous peoples of the Americas. The local people have baptized her as Anaconda, however, in honor of the most famous queen of the Tainos. Isabel the Catholic Street, named in honor of the Spanish queen who offered to pawn her jewels to finance Christopher Columbus's expedition to discover this new world. This street, which is known as Commerce Street, was the street of the market and other important businesses. Until the end of the past century, the main offices of commercial banks were here. To the left and right are the buildings that replaced the colonial homes, helping to create an unbalanced urban vision. Fortunately, not through the bank's fortunes, the colonial homes that are located to the left were untouched. December 10th of 1990, UNESCO declared the colonial city of Santo Domingo to be a monument to world culture for its historical value, its influence on the architecture and urbanization of America, and for its association with deeds and successes of universal importance. Here on our right is the French Hotel, and on the left, the Mexican Embassy. Both buildings are from the 17th century. We point out that they are an example of the original Spanish architecture of the city, with very small windows and balconies. The houses after the hotel show examples of the French influences during the period when the French covered the territory. These examples include the wide balconies with wooden floors, the decorative gingerbread adornments along the roofs, and wrought iron handrails that changed the austere facades of the colonial houses, converting them into homes that today are characteristically Caribbean. In the background, you can see the white tower of the town hall. Its beautiful 19th century facade, which was designed by the architect Osvaldo Baez, covers the original colonial building, which housed the first municipal council in all of the Americas. A plaque located on the main door identifies the names of the founders. Today, the town hall has its offices in a modern area of the city, but maintains this building for official acts and as an historical government center. On the left, we see Columbus Park, the ancient military plaza. Around it were concentrated all the religious and civil powers, an urban concept that served as a model for all of the Americas. The statue and monument to Christopher Columbus was sculpted by Ernest Joubert. It was unveiled in 1899 during the government of the dictator Ulysses Erros. Within the park is the Metropolitan Cathedral, the primary cathedral in the Americas. This category was authorized by Pope Paul III in 1546. Construction of the cathedral took only 18 years. It was begun in 1523 and finished in 1541. Limestone from ancient coral was used, which gives its Gothic interior a unique color. The front facade is in the Plateresque style. On the corner is the Plaza Padre Vigini. Vigini was a pious and caring priest, founder of schools, orphanages, homes for senior citizens, and an asylum for the mentally ill. As parish priest for the cathedral, while overseeing repairs in a vault behind the altar, he is credited as having found an urn made of lead with the name and remains of Admiral Christopher Columbus. This shows that Spaniards erred when they supposedly took the remains of Columbus to Cuba when the island was ceded to France in 1795. In this way, the Admiral's wish was fulfilled to be laid to rest in the land he loved best, and according to him, the most beautiful land that human eyes had ever seen.
It's gonna be a great video.
Nice, right?
If I had a sound, bro.
The first building on the road is the Church of the Convent of the St. Clares. It's from the 17th century. Tradition has it that if you promise an offering of a dozen eggs to St. Clare, the clouds will go away and the sun will shine. The fortified wall that we see is part of the first military precinct constructed by Europeans in America, the Santo Domingo Fortress, which is popularly called the Osama Fortress because the Osama River borders its eastern flank. This is the Street of the Ladies, Calle de las Damas, which has been its name since the earliest of colonial times. For a brief while, it was known as the Street of the Fortress, and also as Columbus Street. But its history and legend caused it to regain its original name, Street of the Ladies. It was the first street in the city, and it is said that here lived and walked the gracious ladies of the viceregal court of Doña María de Toledo. On this street are several important homes: the Bastidas House, the Book Collector's House, the Academy of Sciences, and the university's Cartographic Institute. On the left, this house was home to Hernando Cortés, the conqueror of Mexico, although it is now occupied by the French embassy. On your right are the homes of the Ovando and Davila families, today a prestigious boutique hotel. To the left is the church with the most austere and unadorned facade in the colonial zone, the Church of the Company of Jesus, the Jesuits. It was completed in 1755. And just 20 years later was abandoned as a church when the Jesuits were expelled from all Spanish territory in the Americas. The building became a tobacco warehouse, then the Republican Theater, then housed public offices until 1951. It was restored in 1955, converted into the Pantheon of the Fatherland. Here are the tombs of the grand protagonists of Dominican history. It is said that the dictator Trujillo ordered the restoration in order to be buried here, but he also ordered the construction of a pantheon in the Church of San Cristobal, where he was born. He was actually buried in the celebrated cemetery of Père-Lachaise in Paris, and later transferred to a cemetery in Madrid. On the right, this enormous space is the Spanish Plaza. It was part of the Columbus Alcázar's patios. We need to clarify that the discoverer, Don Christopher Columbus, never lived in this castle, which was constructed beginning in 1509. It was the home of his son, Don Diego Colon, and his son's wife, Doña María de Toledo. This is the street of Mercedes, of blessings. It is one of the few in the city that has curves. Here, almost all the roadways are perpendicular to each other, running south to north and east to west. Remember that the city had the form of a checkerboard. Because of this, it is easy to walk around in and almost impossible to get lost. Seeing as how it is a 16th century Spanish city, notice the width of these streets, which make it seem as if Ovando had had a vision of the future. Today is the French Hotel, formed part of the San Nicolas de Bari Hospital, the first European hospital in the New World. The modern buildings along here were constructed upon the ruins of the hospital. The small white with red brick chapel of Alta Gracia, which is within the modern church built of reinforced concrete, was the hospital's original chapel. It is dedicated to the worship of the Virgin of Alta Gracia, High Grace. The painting of the image of the Virgin and Child in a manger is considered to be the first nativity scene in the Americas. There is some documentation indicating that worship of the image of the Virgin of Alta Gracia actually began here before it spread to other sites on the island. To the right is the house of San Pedro, St. Peter, an elegant 16th century mansion. Don Jose Marti, father of Cuban independence, stayed here during his visit to the city. Now we're on Duarte Street. Before city councils demanded the right to name streets, it was the public that baptized them for a person, event, or special characteristic of the street. Now we're on the street that was once called Street of the Martyrs. When Francis Drake held everyone in the city hostage in 1586, his fierce corsairs captured 2 monks in the Dominican church who tried to stop the sacrilege being done to the main altar. The savage gang made fun of the defenseless monks. They humiliated them, beat them, and tortured them without mercy, finally hanging them from a tree whose branches were above the street, thus the name, Street of the Martyrs. Crossing the Calle El Conde, Street of the Count, an important and traditional commercial center, today exclusively for pedestrians. Anything you might desire in Santo Domingo can be found on the Calle El Conde. Chapel of the Third Dominican Order. It was part of the church. In the 19th century, a Puerto Rican educator lived here named Eugenio Maria de Ostos. He turned it into the first teachers' college, specializing in preparing educators to teach high school. In 1884, the city council named this Duarte Street in honor of the principal founding father of the Dominican Republic, Juan Pablo Duarte. In 1930, this park was constructed in his memory, and the Italian sculptor Domingo was charged with creating the sculptures that are in the center of the plaza. Royal palms, native poplars, and a flamboyant tree provide greenery and shade to the area. This is the preferred place of contemporary young Dominicans. Here, the nights are both long and very lively. Traveling from south to north on the street named in honor of Eugenio Maria de Hostos, guide and educator of myriad intellectuals and Dominican teachers. In the colonial era, it was called the Street of the Hospital. It was also called Street of the Schools because in 1854 it had 3 functioning study centers, the School of Carmen, Xavier College, and the Dominican College. Today, it is a street of restaurants, especially those serving Dominican food, of cafes with dancing to nostalgic Caribbean music and jazz. A place for gourmets, dancers, and lovers of music. French-style balconies and the Spartan simplicity of these stone Spanish-style houses provide contrast and give a touch of romance to this street, which was once the site of the celebrated Café de la Reina, Queen's Cave, which was the favorite hangout of Spanish army officers when General Santana re-annexed the young republic to Spain. Santana lived and died in the house on the corner of Luperon, which today houses the Italian Cultural Center. Photogenic ruins of what was the San Nicolas de Bari Hospital, the first in the Americas. It was founded by Nicolas de Ovando to serve the poor. Is the crest of Hostos Street, with its stairs and stone pavement, the most filmed street in the city. Here, scenes from Francis Ford Coppola's The Godfather 2 and the remake of The Sorcerer and The Good Shepherd were filmed. Without a doubt, the street is very picturesque and photogenic. This is the Street of Blessings, Calle de las Mercedes. Its name comes from the convent and the church of the Merced order. To the left is a 2-story house called the Palace of Lis. There lived an intelligent, cultured and brave but cruel dictator. In his honor, in 1897, the city council rebaptized the street with the name the Pacifier, as the dictator was called, because he ended all the previous revolutions. In 1899, Ulysses Eros, whose nickname was Elise, was executed, and the street reverted to its ancient name. There are many funny anecdotes and ingenious phrases about Ulysses Eros. Thanks to the writer and poet Fabio Fiaggio, Ulysses's habit of disguising himself as a destitute person and walking about the streets incognito has been confirmed. In this way, he could hear what was going on among the people and his political enemies. Fiaggio described this in a humorous newspaper article. On the right, the first Protestant church in the city is the Church of the Seventh-day Adventists. Ahead, we see the historical and majestic Church of Merced Order. It was constructed by the master architect Rodrigo de Liendo between 1527 and 1555. Worship of the Virgin of Blessings, the Virgen de las Mercedes, is linked to the Catalan presence in Santo Domingo. Entered Sanchez Street. In one of the first houses on the right lived the poet Salomé Urreña, and there she gave birth to her son, Pedro Enriquez Urreña, a great Latin American intellect. He was a professor in Mexico, the USA, and Argentina. His proposals for a Pan-American Latin America were a principal influence on many Latin American politicians and intellectuals. Dominicans have three founding fathers: Juan Pablo Duarte, Ramon Matias Mejia, and Francisco de Rosario Sanchez. This street is named in honor of Sanchez, although it is the street where Mejia was born. Church in Navarijo is that of Our Lady of Carmen, constructed around 1615. The word Carmen comes from Iberian Arabic and means garden. Thus, it is the Virgin of the Garden of the Flowers. It is one of the smallest churches in the city. The street was once called Street of the Moon, but no one knows why the city council baptized it with such a cosmic name. Turning left, we are now on Padre Bigini Street. In front of us is a very special house, the House of the Pulpit. A private residence in 1929, it mixes naturalist and neoclassic elements. The enclosed balcony is unique in the city and gives the residence its name because it looks like the pulpit of a church. This used to be called University Street.
Amigo. Track. Go. Drop. Here is one of the few colonial churches whose principal altar does not face west.
Regina Angelorum faces south. Its construction was completed in 1722, at which time it was the convent of the Dominican nuns. Its facade is plateresque, simple over the great theatrical effect. Because Regina Angelorum Church is so beautiful, it has become a favorite for the celebration of weddings. On the corner is a two-story stone house called the House of the Cape Man, a mysterious person from the colonial era who lived closed up inside. Nobody ever saw his face. Sometimes he peeked out of the windows, wrapped up in his cape. That was how he passed the wee hours of the night. It is said that he was from a rich and noble family, that beneath his cape you could see an embroidered cross from a holy religious order. Legend has it that from here he went to Mexico, where the viceroy and the royal court executed him, accusing him of being a traitor. The Catholic Church on the right is the Imperial Church of Santo Domingo, completed in 1535. It was here that the first university in the Americas was founded. It was a cultural lighthouse that shone over the new continent. From the pulpit of this church, Fray Anton de Montesinos gave his celebrated Advent sermon, the first document in defense of the rights of the indigenous peoples of America. On the right is the park of Fray Bartolomé de las Casas, in memory of the friar who dedicated his life to the defense of the Indians of this island and of all the Americas. On the weekends, there's an artisanry market here. Now on the right is the Tostado House, which today is the Museum of the Dominican family. On exhibition here are the furnishings and domestic accoutrements from the 18th and 19th centuries.
Is it like
we now return to the street of Isabella Católica.
You know,
on the right is the House of the Sacrament, donated to the church by the Garret family as a result of a sacred vow. At the front is the Archbishopric Palace, and to the left, the Metropolitan Cathedral.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
The old jail of the colonial era is to the right. This building has been home to a cultural association, a school, parliamentary chambers, police station, and School of Fine Arts. Now, it's destined to be a cathedral museum. Beside it is the Palace of Bourgelat, which is also known as the House of Diego de Herrera, another building from the 16th century that through time has had multiple uses, the most notable of which was the palace of Governor Bourgelat, who added the balcony and gallery that give the house its regal appearance.
It's about to take up my whole car.
Well, we've arrived at our station, and the Colonial Choo-Choo thanks you for the distinction that you, as our passengers, bestow upon us. It's your enjoyment of our tour that makes us happy. Gracias. Thank you.
Greetings, everyone. I know that video was long, man. I want to thank you guys so much for hanging in there. Please like the video. Please subscribe to my channel, guys. And I'm glad I can bring you this content. Thank you, and have a great day.